Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into a deeply counterintuitive, honestly kind of mind-blowing idea from ancient Stoic wisdom. We're going to explore this question. What if true success and unshakable confidence don't actually come from endless grinding, but from mastering your own internal state? Society is constantly telling us that we just have to grind until we drop, right? We are totally sold on this idea that success is a mountain we have to conquer through sheer brute force. But we really need to take a step back and ask ourselves honestly, if we're constantly forcing our way to the top, walking around exhausted and stressed out all the time, are we actually just pushing our goals further away?
Because think about it. Modern culture screams at us to fake it till you make it. It relies so heavily on putting up facades and just endlessly hustling. But the Stoics? They took the complete opposite approach. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. This is a guy who literally ran the entire Roman Empire without a smartphone. He didn't rely on frantic, scattered energy. He focused entirely on his internal state because he knew that true power comes from becoming magnetic to opportunities rather than desperately running around chasing them.
Okay, let's jump right into Pillar 1, the citadel of the mind, focusing on perception and emotion. It's honestly wild how the philosopher Seneca completely nailed the modern anxiety loop thousands of years ago. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Seriously, how true is that? We spend 99% of our time living in futures that don't even exist, completely terrified of worst-case scenarios.
And that fear carries a massive, massive price. It's what we call the imagination tax. This is the mental cost you pay in anxiety for worst-case scenarios that haven't even happened yet. When you worry about failing before you even start the business, or bombing a presentation before you even step foot on stage, you are paying this heavy mental tax. You're literally bleeding out the cognitive energy you need for actual performance, just paying off a debt for a disaster that exists entirely in your head.
So how do we stop paying this ridiculous tax? Well, the Stoics practice something called preferred indifference. I love this analogy. Think of your goals like holding a handful of dry sand. If you grip that sand too tightly out of desperation, it just slips right through your fingers. But if you just hold it with an open, relaxed palm, it stays perfectly in place. When you show up to a situation absolutely desperate for a specific outcome, you're broadcasting this intense vibration of lack. It puts up a wall of resistance. But approaching life with detached desire, meaning, yeah, you'd prefer success, but you absolutely do not require it for your peace of mind, that makes you completely magnetic. You stop operating from a place of emptiness, and you start operating from a place of unshakable abundance. Moving right along to Pillar 2, the architecture of action, all about courage and confidence. Marcus Aurelius totally flipped the script on how we view problems with this one brilliant idea. He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The roadblock you are facing right now is not stopping your path. It literally is your path. It's the exact training your character needs to get to the next level. Think about it like this. If you're a small candle, the wind of adversity is going to easily blow you out. The obstacle destroys you. But if you're a massive bonfire, that exact same wind doesn't extinguish you at all. It actually becomes your fuel. It makes you burn brighter and hotter. The ultimate Stoic goal is to become that bonfire, where every single challenge only makes you more unstoppable. And here is the real kicker. Emotions actually follow actions. You don't just sit around at 0 seconds waiting to magically feel confident before you act. No way. You take the action, you endure 5 minutes of sheer uncomfortable friction to generate momentum, and by the end of the hour, the confidence has caught up to you. Confidence isn't some feeling you just wait for. It's the reward you get for stepping into the fire. So how do you actually push through that initial friction? Through small deposits of discipline. True confidence is basically a high-interest savings account. You do not fund it with one massive lucky event. You build it by doing exactly what you said you were going to do, pushing through the friction of a super boring task and maintaining a victory log of those tiny wins. Keeping promises to yourself is what forges an ironclad identity. Now look, sometimes taking action results in failure. That's just life. But failure isn't some tombstone marking the end of your potential. Instead, you've got to use a really straightforward 2-step review. Just ask yourself, what was actually under my control? And what is one piece of data I can extract to make my next attempt 10% better? Suddenly, failure isn't personal anymore. It's just highly valuable laboratory data. And that brings us to Pillar 3, the flow of acceptance, looking at stillness and nature. The central concept here is amor fati, which translates to the love of fate. Fighting the river of life, resisting all those things you literally cannot change, it just completely drains your precious energy. Embracing amor fati means fully accepting that whatever happens is exactly what is meant to happen right now. It allows you to finally drop your anxiety and start powerfully flowing with the current instead of feeling like you're drowning in it.
We are so guilty of confusing mere motion with actual progress. I mean, it's literally like planting a seed and then digging it up every 5 minutes to see if it's growing. You're just gonna kill it. Sometimes you need the courage to practice strategic stillness, allowing the mud to settle so the water can actually become clear again. And to keep that peaceful stillness when things inevitably hit the fan, the Stoics love this technique called the premeditation of evils. By visualizing potential challenges before a big event even happens and actively planning your responses, you drastically reduce the psychological impact of surprise. You're never caught off guard because your mind has already rehearsed the victory. All right, let's wrap this up with the daily Stoic practice. It all starts with reclaiming your inner authority. You have to step up and act as the undisputed boss of your own mind. That means refusing to hand over your emotional power to the bad driver who cut you off this morning or that hypercritical coworker. It means practicing profound gratitude for exactly where you are right now and acting completely authentically. Because let's face the harsh truth here. Wisdom without action is basically just entertainment. So your challenge is the 24-hour commitment. I want you to pick just one of the concepts we've talked about today, whether it's making a small deposit of discipline or practicing preferred indifference, and ruthlessly apply it for just one single day. Prove to yourself that this actually works. Ultimately, the choice is entirely yours. Are you going to stay stuck as a reactive victim of external circumstances, constantly tossed around by anxiety? Or are you going to take this Stoic paradigm and become the unshakable architect of your own reality? The tools are ancient, they are proven, but the application, that is entirely up to you.